Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy, do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
The wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next church on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, period, does the FBI find people? The people's misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E. Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
I've been sent someone with more experience. What more do you need to see? Because he's the guy!
Alrighty, welcome. I know I'm early. It's 5 minutes early. But you guys started gifting memberships, and they were going to disappear. And I'm like, if I don't go live, I can't recognize them now. So very, very quickly before they fade away into oblivion. Oh, that's beautiful. Let's fix that. First of all, Red Pen, thank you very much. Thank you very much for gifting 5 memberships. Also, Bug Dugger gifted 5 memberships this morning. Thank you. Wonderful gifts to kick off the Tuesday morning. But we have to first before we do anything, we have to recognize Erica. Erica 843, first in chat this morning. Erica, you know what happens when you're first in chat. It's not good. Well, it's not good for anyone. It's not good for you. It's good for everyone else. You have to take care of the internet. That's what happens. So we're going to put you in charge of babysitting the internet and everybody on it. If they have problems, they're going to call you. Just be aware. So just add that to your list of things to do this Christmas week as we get ready for the big holiday. You now have just one more thing to take care of, but it's a big thing. Congratulations, Erica. Thank you very much for being first in chat. We have Cachette gifted 5 memberships as well. Is somebody trying to get targeted?
Not a camel.
Lee says, "What? You're never early." I know, but I didn't. Yeah, I had to be early today. Is there somebody who's getting targeted for something?
Mike. What day is it, Mike? Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day! Welcome to Wednesday. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was a rough one. I'm glad we have next week off so I can recover. Oh. Coffee and Crime also gifted 5 memberships in addition to Cachette, who just came in at 5 as well. Thank you very much. We just have 20 more people here in green, just in case chat isn't going fast enough. When it gets busy, it's now going to go just a wee bit faster. And now we have to sing. Lois says, my dogs enjoyed that. That's awesome, Lois. Good to have you here, Lois, by the way. Big shout out to Lois for all her help down in Florida. It was wonderful. Lois, thank you. Great friend of the program and huge help. It made everything possible down there in Sarasota. Let's see. You should do Hump Day after birthday, says Katie. Katie Joyful Heart, are you one of the ones we're singing to? I'm just asking. Let's see. Let me just say, if you guys can list, if there are birthdays, if you can just list the people I sing to, not necessarily the relationship, but the people I sing to, because I have to have them all on one page. Haven't recovered from the trip. It was a rough trip. I did a lot of sleeping. I'd like to do a little bit more sleeping to catch up. But yeah, it was good. It was good. We did a lot of cool things, and we're looking forward to do a few more similar things in the future. Defense has now filed a 3rd supplement that's 41 pages. Good grief! Can they not just figure this out? I want to see what they complain about. Is it because I went to court? Am I in the supplement now, Lauren? I'm going to do a quick peek. Cindy Lou, it's my 71st birthday. Cindy Lou, congratulations. 71st birthday, that is awesome. 71 years young. So let's put Cindy Lou on the list. Cindy Lou. There we go. Lena H says it's my birthday as well. Lena, welcome. Happy birthday. Thanks for being here. I'm still peeking here. Go up to my second to last comment before you lose it. Buffer. Amber. I'm going. Not that one. My buffer came in during Mike. I'm scrolling up. Good old-fashioned roll call. It's been a hot minute. Let's do a roll call before we have 1,000 a million in chat, right? Oh, man. You want a roll call? You want a roll call and then birthday morning? Because we're early, right? Let's do one for old time's sake. Erica, Lois Cox, Cachette, Sherry Smith, Red Pen, Lindy, Nicole P, Kylie, welcome. Jules is here. Hello, Jules. Denise Feldman, Ersland, Sharon, Julie McBride is here. Welcome, Julie. Good to have you here. Let's see, Christina Nichols, Jamie Latorno, Paula Mack, Courtney Meek. Courtney, I hope you had a great birthday. Angela Angelo, Diana Beeston, hello, or Beetson, my apologies. Skybell, Lois Cox, so I did shout out her already, but welcome, Lois. Mary T, Mary Tedeschi, Britta Aller, Debbie Wilson is in the house. Good morning, Debbie. Melissa Filson, Selena K, Ace King, Melanie Schuler, Sandy Raskin, Ricky C, Isabella Jones. I'm confident in how I pronounce these names. It doesn't mean I'm right. I'm just confident in how I do it. If I get it wrong, my apologies. Marianne R is here. Christy Ann, Denise Feldman Ersland here again. That's twice, Denise. Janice, Erica 843 is our internet owner. Congratulations. According to Woo is here. Cachette, of course, welcome. One of our great mods and a big help to the channel. Lindy is here. Good morning, DSN. Hello. Red Pen, Katie 214, Drele. Is that right? Drele. Sandy Spivey is here. Let's see. Who did I miss? Let's see. Sharon McDonald. Does anyone have a birthday anniversary today? Sharon's one of our great mods that just welcomes everybody. And I just missed a membership thing. Hang on one second. Katie214, happy 9 months, RA. Hope everyone has a wonderful day and even a better holiday season. Let me see where that membership thing was, because I don't want to miss that. Somebody had it was like a 3-month membership. Scrolling. Was it this one? Yes, it was. G'day, WA. Member for 3 months. Hey, mate. Great to be part of this community. Cheers from Bia, or is it Bia? Bay? In Perth, up Western Australia. Hello, down under. Welcome. How's your summer? Our winter is cold. Please send warm weather. Let's see. Franco says, I've been away for the last few days. Can you quickly recap this Uber trial? I sure can. Basically, woman went out partying, called an Uber, waited for her Uber. A car very similar to the Uber that she had booked showed up, and she got in thinking it was her Uber, and it turned out to be a murderer. She ended up dead, found the next morning with over 100 stab wounds, and almost no blood left in her body. Just a vicious crime. The culprit, as we always like to say, because this is a crime from the archives. We're catching up, so we're watching something that happened before. The culprit was found with let's say a lot of physical evidence, blood evidence in his vehicle. We haven't heard if there's any direct evidence from him on the victim or if the direct evidence from the victim on him. But as far as his car, there was a lot. His girlfriend was involved. His girlfriend testified against him already, and it did so in spectacular manner. It was really good. Jules says recovered. It's all redacted. Dang it. We missed it. Let's see. We've also got an action update. Plaintiffs and case style per din. I'm looking at the 41-page thing. It's all redacted. Well, we'll see what it is. Tisha S. got you on the roll call. Patches, Ashley Oakes, Sharon McDonald, Britta Aller, Greeners, Allison M. Welcome. Gail Pett, Kelly, Pamela Morden, Krim, Deidre Hodges, Bug Duggars here, Christy, Queen Bee, my pal Sal Vintage, Cachette, we gotcha. Welcome. Tisha S. Says, happy to be part of this community with all my favorite addicts. Genjo, Selena K, Shells, Clipsons, Vixen. Hello, Amber. Good morning. Hope you got some sleep. No? Bummer. Gypsy Moon, Debbie Blair. I think Amber was up all night. I'm just saying. So if she starts typing some funny things in chat, like, hey, you should do a roll call when there's hundreds and hundreds of people here. Just know that she's a little bit sleepy. Ven is here. I'm on time for the second time in 1 week. That's cause for celebration right there. Congratulations, Ven. Isabella Jones, Barbara Farthing is here. Erica W., Oklahoma Dreamer. Red Pen, Christy Alexander, Debbie Blair. Good morning, Debbie. And I can't get my screen to update. There are more people, but it won't show me. Brown Eyed Girls here. Kidda Smith. Fairchair. Sid, good morning. Meanie Banana, hello. One day I'm going to get a mouse that doesn't automatically double click every time I click, so I have to scroll. It's such a pain in the butt. I have to click every time and then click off and then click again. Misty Richards, Miku's headphones. Good to have you here, Miku. Marsha Braga. Queen Bee, Skybell, 6 Volt Bus. Hello, 6 Volt. Thank you for thank you, 6 Volt. You know what for. Vanta Blue, Whodunny, Christine J, Tammy and KS, Snark Snack. Oh, man, I was going to say this right. Shark Snack Gulf Coast. First try. Got it first try. Vanta Blue. Welcome. We need somebody with a lot more experience. Amy L. 2022. Gifted 10 memberships. Thank you, Amy. That's wonderful of you to do that this morning. Linda Carlson is here, out and about with Diane. Gordon, Duchess. Sheila, Court Reporter. Hello, welcome, Sheila. I need you to type for me because I do not type fast. Lego My Brief says, member for 7 months. Do I have to drop my pants to get a shout out? Spicy Pickles. Before it gets busy, my heartfelt wishes for a safe holiday from my favorite nut house to my favorite nut house.
As well.
Thank you, Lego My Briefs. Appreciate you. It would not be the same without you. Glad you're here with us. And please, it's not No Pants Friday yet, so please stay trousered. Is that a name? Is that a thing? Corey is here. Tammy and KS. Big Mike. Corey again. Let's see. Diana Beatson. I think we got Diana once before, but that's all right. Ricky C., Kate Manning. Who else did we miss? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a quick KH in South Carolina. Hello, Kay. I will tell you that Kay, Mrs. R.A. is not feeling well this morning, and she barely got out of bed, and I think she's going back to bed. But she has your blanket. She's like, I need to be warm. So she has the blanket you made for us, and it's helping keep her warm and comfortable this morning. Thank you. 80s the Music Man holds up a sign that says, don't forget about me. Hello, 80s Music Man. Welcome. Let's see. Jules, Paralegal Liz, Christine Fortuno, Ricky C., Brenda Meyer, Hoosier Grammy. Let's see. Let's do this. Petrified, Julie Sharton, Beth, Kim R. Again, he missed me. No, I just haven't got there yet.
Break for lunch,
we're going to break in just a little bit. But we started early, so we're doing a little bit of read-through. Or not read-through. I'm reading some stuff while we get started. Let's see. We need some hands in chat. If I missed you. Only if I missed you. And I realize we've got you got about just 500 or so of us. So there's a few of you I missed. Golden Girl is here. Let's see. G'day WA. I see you there. Bravo Chick. Let's see. Chelsea B. Agony Goose. I have pants equipped. Wonderful. That's +1. Pants equipped. Greeners, is Miss R.A. using the new pillowcase? No. The new pillowcase is right here. I've repackaged it, and it was in one of those easy return things. So I repackaged it to make it. Oh, I shouldn't show you like his label. Sorry. But I repackaged it to make it look like that's the way it came initially. Hopefully he doesn't have to return it because it will not be easy to return. AES, thank you very much. Ashley, Bug Duggar, and Cloudier. My pal Sal Vintage. Big Mike says, when are we going to have lunch? Okay, so Dale, hello. Let's see. Ruth Zubin, Jennifer Juniper, Anna, Emily Trahan.
And Clute just sent a super sticker with 2.
I still don't know how to turn that off. I turned off all the other voices, and that one comes through. And thank you very much for the super sticker. Deborah Harby, Zoe Loves Unicorns, Golden Rose Tuxedo. Odi Marie, you always struggle with my name. Say hi to me. Yes, I do struggle with your name. Hello, welcome. Oda Marie, is that going to be close enough this morning? Rachel Hope, I see you. Weather Watch with the camels. It's good. AZDCS Oversight Group is here. Cope and Whiskey says, happy to spend my day off with you guys. Well, let's begin your day off with a little bit of court watching. I know I've missed a lot of people. Let's see, P.O. Box is in the description. Yes, it is. And it's also right there. And apparently other people also send stuff to that P.O. Box, meaning to get to other people. Like they sent me a pillowcase and they sent me, what was the other thing? I don't know. I didn't open it. No, yes, I did. I did open it. It was a charger cable. But we got that back to him. We have to get him the pillowcase. He probably wants it for Christmas. Debs gifted a membership. Thank you very much. Jenny R13, happy hump day to you. Auntie Beppy is here. Rando from Iowa. Kathy Pettit. Martha Ivy. Oops, I didn't click on your name, Martha, and now it disappeared. It was a Samsung charger cable. That was it. All right, we're going to begin. I know I've missed a lot of you. I haven't done a roll call in a long time. That was a fun little blip. Hello, Texas Nana. Hello to all those I missed. Christy Devers, Mama Ames, Ashley Donald, Jackie, Mrs. C, Carrie 28, C Chinny. Lots of people. Hello to everybody. Did we miss the birthday song? I've been waiting. No, I still have to do that. Here's what I have so far. I have 2 people. I have Cindy. Oh, that's better. Hang on. Thank you, Sharon. Perfect timing. Let's see. Cindy Lou, Jackson, Lena. So Cindy Lou, Jackson, and Lena. We can do that. That's 3 people. Andrew, are you on there as well? Okay, everybody warm up. Jackson. There we go. Here we go. Everybody. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Cindy Lou, Lena, Andrew, and Jackson. Happy birthday to you. There we go. We got Cindy Lou, Lena, Andrew, and Jackson all celebrating birthdays today. Thank you for being here. Anne, happy birthday yesterday. It is wonderful that this, of all your days, of all your special days, you're here with us, celebrating with us on this day. What a wonderful time to have a birthday, too. Right here during the holiday season. Happy birthday to you. Thank you all very much. If there's anything we can do to make your day better, like 6 Volt did by harmonizing on the music, we will do it. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to kick off court here in just a little bit. I was going to take a quick peek at... let me hide this and switch over to here. Uh-oh. Boom. Happy birthday, December babies. Oh, Anna's birthday too. Happy birthday, Anna. Happy birthday, Anna. That was yesterday, right? Happy birthday. All right. I'm just looking at a quick. I've got on my screen. I've got the latest, the 41 pages filed by the defense in the Maya case. I'm just going to scan it very quickly. They're talking about juror misconduct. Oh, so they're clarifying, saying, oh, he says he checked that by mistake. Potential jurors' dishonesty, misrepresentation, and failure to be truthful on a juror questionnaire, and jurors' failure when having further opportunity to correct the misinformation provided by the court is grounds for a new trial, they say. Man, they're just going back and forth. It's heavily redacted. That's all good. That's good. Yeah. Okay. They're just they're throwing more at the wall. They've seen what will stick, but we're gonna skip that one. It's a short one with a lot of attachments, but all right. Let's get our court case for the day ready. We're picking up right where we left off. For those that don't know, we are watching the Nathaniel Rowland trial. We're finishing day 3 and probably beginning day 4 today. And we are watching this on 1.25 speed because we're trying to get the whole thing done this week. which is a bit of a rush, but we're going to see if we can do this to get ahead just a tiny bit. So let's kick this off, and let's see what are you seeing? You're seeing that? Okay, let's go here.
Investigator Fitzgerald, I want to draw your attention back to late March and early April of 2019. Did you become involved in an investigation involving the kidnapping and murder of Samantha Josephson?
Yes, I did.
And how did you become involved in that investigation?
I became involved on that Monday when I came into work. We found out that had happened over the end of the last week and into the weekend, and then we were tasked with different things.
Did you obtain any search warrants regarding that investigation?
I did. I obtained 2 search warrants, one for the Capital Waste Services and one for FedEx in Colombia that were both prior employment of Mr. Rowland.
And did you execute those search warrants yourself?
I did.
Did you obtain any documents pursuant to that lawfully executed search warrant?
I did.
Beg the court's indulgence, Your Honor.
This is a replay. This happened in 2001. This is in Judge Newman's court in South Carolina. The crime happened in 2019. There's our defendant right there. We were not going to spoil it and tell you what happens.
Your Honor, I'm approaching the witness with what's been marked previously for ID purposes as States Exhibit 192 and 193.
I do like the courtroom. It looks like it's sort of oriented at an angle, so the back of the gallery is at an angle in the corner.
They are the documents that I received. The one had been a chain of custody through SLED.
And are those the documents that you obtained pursuant to the search warrant?
Yes, they were.
Do you have scissors up there?
I do not.
We have at least 4 prosecutors on this one, and they've all taken turns so far with witnesses. And a handful of defense. So 4 solicitors is what they call them in South Carolina.
Your Honor, I'm approaching the witness with some scissors to open the document.
Your Honor, I'm approaching the witness with some scissors. Yes, we are counting squeaks, by the way.
And which item is that labeled?
That's going to be the personnel file for Nathaniel Rowland from Capital Waste Services.
What item number is that?
It's going to be item number 192, States Exhibit.
We don't know what's causing the squeaks, but there's some balloon-type noises. We're not going to say fart. We're not going to say toot.
Inside is the documentation that Capital Waste Services had, and they had printed out and ready for me to pick up when I went there on the date that I served the search warrant.
And do those documents fairly and accurately reflect the records that you collected in April of 2019?
They do.
Your Honor, at this time, State moves to enter what's been previously marked for ID purposes as States Exhibit 192 and evidence.
Additional objection?
Additionally, I would object under 901.
On what basis?
Lack of authentication.
All right, response?
Your Honor, these are self-authenticating documents. We have affidavits in lieu.
Self-authenticating documents?
Beg the court's indulgence, Your Honor.
She's basically challenged the authenticity of the documents that are trying to be admitted. The state says these are self-authenticating documents. That's cool.
Your Honor, the state was provided affidavits that provide the certification of these records, and pursuant to South Carolina law, these would be admissible with these certifications provided from the companies kept in the ordinary course of business.
Objection under 901, requirement of authentication or identification. You contend that they're self-authenticating under Rule 902, what provision?
Your Honor, that would be the certification provided in this statute.
Under what provision?
I believe it is Article 9, Chapter 5, Title 19 of the Code.
All right.
Your Honor, I can approach. I have a copy of it.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Let me see it.
It's interesting that the judge seems to err on the side of caution when admitting evidence. Even when the foundation seems to be laid quite well, when they object to foundation, he makes them do more.
Have you provided this certification to defense counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any further argument, Ms. Pennant?
We saw this part
Document
yesterday.
is admitted under Article 9, Chapter 5 of the South Carolina Code regarding domestic records. That meets the requirements of Rule 8036 of the Rules of Evidence and
Don't think we
shown
saw
by
this.
certification of custodian, which has been shown here, and the exhibits are admitted, or this, are you offering one or two?
Just one at the moment, Your Honor.
It is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Investigator Fitzgerald, I want to turn your attention to item 193.
Yes.
And what is that envelope?
It's going to be the documentation handwriting standard from Nathaniel Rowland's file from FedEx that I received.
And did you obtain those records pursuant to a lawful search warrant?
Yes.
This is in 2021, South Carolina. This is before the Alex Murdaugh trial, which obviously was in 2023.
And have you had a chance to take a look at the documents inside the file?
Yes.
And are those, in fact, the documents that you obtained pursuant to your search warrant?
Did I say 2023?
And what are those records
It was 2022.
specifically? Which business?
It's going to be his employment records, any applications that they had on hand, any internal reviews.
And where? What company?
From FedEx Ground.
And do those documents fairly and accurately reflect the records that you obtained pursuant to that search warrant in 2019?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would ask that item 193 is entered into evidence.
Couldn't understand what you said.
Apologies, Your Honor. I would object to authentication under 901.
All right. Same objection as before. What's your response?
Your Honor, pursuant to Article 9, Chapter 5, Title 19 of the South Carolina Code of Laws, these documents are admissible, along with the fact that they are self-authenticating, given the certification of business records that was obtained by the custodian of records employed at FedEx. A copy of this certification was shown to the defense as well, Your Honor.
All right. The documents are admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Investigator Fitzgerald, other than retrieving these documents that we just talked about, what else did you do during the course of this investigation, if anything?
I followed up on some different leads that we were given. There were there was a lead that I found through going out to FedEx in reference to a female that Mr. Rowland used to come to work with.
Did you make any attempts to track down surveillance footage in this case?
I did not.
Did you make any attempts to collect additional evidence in this case?
Yes.
And what pieces of additional evidence did you attempt to recover?
Yes. We did, myself and a couple other investigators did go out to multiple Dollar General stores to attempt to locate the different cleaning products and potential surveillance video, I misspoke, of Dollar Generals to see if Mr. Rowland had bought the products from any of the Dollar Generals in the area.
And about how many Dollar Generals would you say you visited?
At least
All
5.
of them. All of them.
Were you successful in obtaining any additional evidence?
We were not.
No further questions from the state, Your Honor.
By the defense.
Please support, Your Honor.
Yes.
Investigator Fitzgerald, when you said you went out to a number of Dollar Generals.
We did.
Some of the stores sold some of the products, but not others. You never found a store that sold everything, right?
Correct.
Did you watch surveillance videos while you were at these stores?
We did, and I misspoke. We attempted to view the footage of the ones that did appear to have some of the products and were unsuccessful.
Unsuccessful?
In finding Mr. Rowland on the videos.
Okay. Did you notice anybody else buying these items while you watched the videos?
No, not at that time.
Did you look?
Yes.
So you paid attention to every single person that went through that line to see if anybody bought top bleach?
Right. We were looking for somebody who was buying that volume of the same type of product.
Okay. Did you get receipts?
No, they did look through some of the receipts and were not able to find any that had that type of combination.
Okay, but you didn't see Nathaniel Rowland buying them?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Interesting.
Thanks for
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step down.
There are some interesting facts on this case. Can't wait to see how this shapes out.
Your Honor, the state calls Jack Jameson.
Jack Jameson? Looks like an expert. He's got a bag. Big stretch there in the gallery. We see you back there. Looks like a landfill with all that evidence piled up there.
Thank you. Please have a seat. The witness statement and state your full name for the record.
My full name is John Allen Jameson. Allen is spelled A-L-L-A-N. Jameson is spelled J-A-M-I-E-S-O-N.
I thought that was his bow tie. I'm like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But this is camo mask.
Where are you employed?
I'm employed at SLED, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, in the forensic lab.
And how long have you been with SLED?
A little over 4 years.
In what capacity are you employed with SLED?
I'm employed as a question document examiner for SLED.
And just to clarify for the jury, when we say SLED, what specifically do we mean?
The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division.
Generally, what are some of your day-to-day responsibilities?
My duties include the examination and comparison of handwriting, handprinting, signatures, and numerals. My duties also include the examination of mechanical impressions, such things as printouts from photocopiers, typewriting, check protectors, that sort of thing. I'm also involved in the analysis of pens, papers, inks, and pencils, and I also examine documents for alterations, obliterations, and erasures.
He's the paper guy.
And how long have you worked as a question document examiner?
I started my training in June of 1981, so 40 years.
And generally, is there any sort of specialized training associated with your position?
Yes, in order to become a question document examiner, it's a 2-year apprenticeship type program conducted under the tutelage of senior document examiners. They give you cases to do, exemplary work to look at that demonstrate various aspects of question document examination. Training also includes numerous tests, quizzes, both oral and written, as well as there was a mock trial where they made a case that was independently examined by another document examiner, and then I examined the case and then presented my findings as part of the mock court. Document examination also includes continuous training to keep up with various aspects that are new or are changing within the field.
And about how many times do you think you've testified as an expert?
I've testified over 250 times.
Just generally,
let that sink in.
As far as your experience goes, do you continue to attend trainings and things like that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I attended a training last week. That was an online Zoom type training, but yeah, it was as recently as last week.
And are your reports peer reviewed?
Yes, my reports and the entire case.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would ask that you qualify Mr. Jameson as an expert in the area of questioned document analysis.
Your Honor, no objection to Mr. Jameson's qualifications, but I will renew all objections, previously objections.
He's so qualified as an expert in the field that the state is offering him in.
Whatever field that is. Handwriting examiner.
I want to draw your attention to April of 2019. Were you contacted regarding an investigation that would require your services in the questioned document analysis field?
There was a submission made to the SLED lab that involved QD work.
And what was the extent of your involvement in that investigation?
I received certain documents. I performed a comparison between those documents. I then published a report.
And would you recognize that document if I showed it to you?
Yes.
For the record, Your Honor, I am retrieving what's been previously marked for ID purposes as State's Exhibit 56. I just handed you there?
Yes, ma'am, this is a lab item number 22. It is it's marked both on the outside of the bag as well as on the document inside with the case number, item number, and my initials.
And was that the item submitted through the SLED lab for your analysis?
That was one of them, yes.
And does that item fairly and accurately represent the item that you were given to perform that handwriting analysis?
I suppose I should open it because I should see the other side of the envelope that's
Yes, sir.
there, please.
I suppose.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Use my sterile scissors. Crinkle, crinkle.
Yes, this is the item I examined. It has been subjected to latent print processing since I've seen it, hence the purple color. It's a developing agent they use for latent prints.
Objection is sustained.
They objected because he was showing the
Yes, Your Honor.
jury before it was
Mr. Jameson,
authenticated.
I believe you're saying, is that the item that would be the what we call the questioned document in this case?
That's
Thank
correct.
you, Canada. Appreciate the super sticker.
And Your Honor, at this time, I would ask that the state is able to enter item, I believe it's 59, into evidence. I apologize, Your Honor, 56.
Your Honor, I would just override previously made objections.
It is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Permission at this time to publish to the jury, Judge?
Now we can show the jury.
Mr. Jameson, if you could show the jury the part of the document that you would be performing your analysis on.
I perform my analysis on the totality of the document, but I'm particularly focused in on the handwritten inscription at the top of the envelope on the back side of the envelope.
And Mr. Jameson, just generally, what is the process that you go through when you're performing an analysis on a questioned document?
It's a three-phase process where I go through the question document in order to determine whether or not it's original, i.e. not a copy, whether it contains identifiable features, are those identifiable features present in sufficient quantity upon which to base a conclusive comparison. The second phase of the examination is I perform a analysis of the known documents. Again, whether or not they're original, whether or not they contain identifying features, whether or not these features are sufficient upon which to base a comparative analysis. And then I also go on to look at the known documents to determine whether or not they're written by one person and whether or not they are comparable to the question documents. Then I perform my one-to-one comparison where I'm comparing features of the handwriting, such things as letter formation, the relative heights between letters, the line quality, the spelling, and things like that. And I look for a set of individual similarities that, if it wasn't an identification, that would distinguish the writings between the known and the question as having been written by one person and one person alone.
Now, Mr. Jameson, the envelope you just held up a minute ago, can you please tell the jury what is written on the front of that envelope? I know it's probably hard for them to see.
Yes, we have a number 4, and we have a circled out or overwritten portion under the number 4. We have job, J-O-B. Beside it is another overwritten portion, and then there's a colon 30, 4 p.m. Next line is duct tape, tape whole body. Next line is gloves. Next line is all black. Next line is flip phone. Next line is gasoline. Next line is matches. And then there's a crossed out line below the matches line.
And can you just hold that up one more time for the jury to see?
Seems like a normal shopping list.
Thank you, sir. And over the course of your analysis, did you obtain any documents that you utilized in comparing the handwriting to this questioned document?
Yes, there were documents submitted.
Your Honor, I'm retrieving what's been previously entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 192 and 193. Mr. Jameson, are those the documents that you used to perform your analysis?
Yes, these are the documents.
And are there any identification marks that you put on those documents?
Yes, on each document that I used in the examination has the case number, item number, and my initials, usually at the lower right-hand corner. I've also marked the actual container that was submitted to SLED, again with the case number regarding the item number and my initials.
And did you compare the handwriting on these two items to that of the question document, and that would be item 22 that you just held up?
Yes, I did.
Beg the court's indulgence, Your Honor.
And this is the back of the TV, in case you've wondered what one of those looks like. I mean, how many people can say they've seen the back of a TV? Most people just look at the front.
Mr. Jameson, did you prepare a demonstrative for this case?
Yes, I did.
And how do you go about doing that?
Basically, I take a piece of foam board and then I cut out portions of the question documents and the known document and position them side by each to demonstrate some of the features.
Side by each. Never heard that before.
And to help the jury understand what we're talking about here, for instance, in item 1 here, line 1, can you just explain the things that you would be looking for or the things that you would be comparing?
Yes, on the left side of the document, we have one of the words that's enlarged about double the size it was on the question note, and that word is duck, D-U-C-K. On the known side, I have cut out various words or word fragments from the known documents in order to demonstrate the similarity in some of the features. For example, the D of duck is a ball and stick formation of the D. The D is open, and that's evidenced in the known documents, first word in on line 1.
And let's go to line 2. What would be something that you would use to compare there, or that you notice?
One of the comparison points would be the W. The W, when one is taught copybook form, when you're first starting out, all the strokes of the W are supposed to be the same height. However, in this case, there's a feature in the fact that the final terminal stroke of the W ends up higher than the rest of the W, and also it ends with a hook. And that hook's evidenced in line 2 beside it on 2 of the W's I've demonstrated.
Jumping down to line 3, what do you notice there?
Among the things I noticed was the fact that the M has a high center, which is not copybook form, as well as the second hump of the M is higher than the first hump.
To hump, to hump.
And on line 4, what did you notice there?
One of the features I noticed was the A. The A's crossbar ends up to the right-hand side of the A, and as they do in the known documents beside them.
And just to clarify, Mr. Jameson, this column that is labeled question, where did you pull these images from? What are these words reflected of?
They are the words that were on the question note, states exhibit number 56.
And under the known column, were these all contained within the documents that you used to do your comparison?
Yes, they were contained from states exhibits 193 and 192.
All right, Mr. Jameson, moving down to line 5, what did you notice about that?
All among the features I noticed was the formation of the G. It's a two-stroke G. The second stroke is an inverted L. There are many, many other ways of making a G, but we have a similarity there. Something else to point out, perhaps, in the word gasoline, you'll notice that the S is much taller than the other letters. When you're taught copybook, they're all supposed to be around the same height. This is what we call a proportion, i.e. in between letters, they're all supposed to be lined across, but this S is much taller in the line there, so it ends up in the known documents as well. The second one in, Lisa, you can see the S is much taller than the rest of the letters in the word.
What about the angles, the S's?
And Mr. Jameson, just to clarify for the jury, what is copybook form? What does that mean?
Copybook form is the forms that you're taught when you're in just learning to write. There are several copybook systems out there, but basically it's when you're learning to write, your teacher may have had an exercise book that you would be copying the letters from. They may have been up on the board. And it's the way they teach you to write, by copying from a master pattern, if you will.
And finally, item 6, what were some similarities you noticed there?
Well, we start with the F, which is similar on both sides. It's, again, an inverted L with a stroke through the middle. One of the proportion things that I saw was the P in flip being much taller than the I beside it, and you can see that in line 6 in the known between the P and the H.
And as far as these comparisons go, are these just some of the ones that you noticed, or some of the ones that you notated between the question document and the documents you were provided?
Yes, just some.
Were there others that you didn't put on the demonstrative?
Several. There were several other words that I compared from the question note to the known as well.
All right, Mr. Jameson. Did you prepare a report in this case?
Yes.
And when you analyze the question document as well as the ones that you were using to compare in this analysis, did you come up with any results?
Yes.
And as far as the results go, what did you determine?
My determination was that it's probable that the writer of the known documents also wrote the question document. Probable means a high degree of likelihood that they were written all by the same writer, both question and known.
And just one more time to clarify, Mr. Jameson, it's probable, meaning a high degree of likelihood, the writer of the documents you used to compare to the question document, which here would be the envelope, it's probable that is the same individual.
That's correct.
Let's talk about the word probable. Do you utilize a scale containing several reporting options?
Yes, the scale that we use is much like a spectrum. In the middle of the spectrum we have I don't know, cannot be determined whether or not the person either did or did not write it. Moving out, and at the farthest end of the spectrum on either end is the person is identified as having written something, or they've been excluded as having written something. So we're moving out from the middle. We have indications the person either did or did not write the document. Indications means that there's a degree of likelihood, but my examination is limited by some factors within the known or question writing. Moving a little further out, we have probable. It's probable the person either did or did not write the document. And again, it's due to limitations within the known or questioned ratings. Then moving just under identification or elimination, we have strong probability, which means almost certain that the person either did or did not write the document.
And Mr. Jameson, clarify one more time where probable falls on that scale that you determined.
Probable falls 2 steps below identification. So there's identification, strong probability, and then probable. And then we go further down to indications to I don't know.
And Mr. Jameson, is it, in your expert opinion, that whoever wrote items 8 and 21, those documents you used to compare in your analysis, probably, meaning a high degree of likelihood, is the writer of the list on that envelope?
Yes.
By the court's indulgence. Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Yeah, please, Court, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
All right, so the testing that you do, that has nothing to do with when something was written, correct? You can't time it. You can't say it's
I
something.
can't time it. Handwriting does change over a period of time, but I cannot date the date of execution of the document.
Okay. And the testing, the comparisons that you do have nothing to do with finding DNA on the item?
No.
You don't do anything with fingerprints?
No, other than preserve the document for future latent print and DNA analysis.
Yes, sir. And you do everything that you're supposed to do to preserve that for the next department that's going to get it, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Because you don't want to contaminate anything or change anything for whoever's going to be processing it next.
That's correct.
And you did all those things?
Yes.
Okay. You issued your report on April 8th of 2019, correct?
Your Honor, may I refer to my notes, please? Thank you. Yes, the report's dated April 8th.
And can you tell us, if you said it before, I apologize, I missed it, when were all of the items submitted to you?
I'm not sure of the submission date. I know that I started the case on April 4th.
Okay. And so you did your comparison, and then you said you sent it through peer review, and after the peer review part, you issued your report.
That's correct.
And after you issued your report, where does it go? Do you give it directly to the investigator, or where do you send it?
I believe it went over to latent prints, and they were going to process it for latent prints and DNA at the same time. So it's an internal transfer within the laboratory.
I apologize, my question wasn't clear. Where does your report go?
My report goes up to a system called iLab, where the investigators have access to my report. You don't send out a mailed copy.
So any investigator or the lead investigator on a case can access it at any time?
I'm not super familiar with iLab, but I assume so, yes.
Okay. The point is they don't have to contact you to say, please give me a report. As the investigator, they can go get it.
That's right,
okay.
Yes.
And when you issued your report, you said that your result was that it's probable that
Correct.
the same author was for all 3 documents, right?
Yeah. Well, it's probable that the writer of the documents that were submitted as known documents is the same writer who wrote the question.
Yes, sir. And you just testified that probable is 2 steps below identification.
That's correct.
But isn't it also 1 step above indication?
Yes.
And then that would be, the second step would be non-conclusion.
That's correct.
Okay. So you were not able to make a higher degree of, I've lost my words. You were not able to make form an opinion on a stronger match between the handwriting samples.
I couldn't come up with a more definitive conclusion.
Yes, sir. But you did put in your report that you were requesting some more information, is that right?
Yes, I was requesting more known documents.
Okay, and that was in the report from April 8th?
Yes.
And the information, you can't go out and try to get information?
No.
That information has to come from the investigator?
Yes.
And as far as you know, based on your experience in the field, more information, the information you were trying to gather would come from the solicitor's office, correct?
No, it would actually come from the investigators, the submitters.
Okay, but you asked for that when you issued your report?
In my report, yes.
And the best of your knowledge, nobody did anything else after you issued your report on April 8th?
I did not receive anything else, no.
Okay. You never heard back from the investigator on the case?
No.
Nobody ever gave you anything else to compare?
No.
You issued your report, and then your involvement in this was finished?
Yes.
Begging the court's indulgence.
If you're going to commit a crime, don't make a to-do list and leave it for investigators to
Any redirect?
Just very briefly, Your Honor. Mr. Jameson, you're not able to put names with samples, right?
No, I have samples that are submitted to me as having been written by somebody, but I have no personal knowledge as to who the writer actually is.
Is it fair to say that you can only compare the samples that you're given?
Yes.
Is that what you did in this case?
Yes.
And once again, what was the conclusion that you came to?
It's probable, meaning a high degree of likelihood, that the person who wrote the known documents also prepared the question document.
Thank you, Mr. Jameson. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. State calls Michael Mosell.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony in this case will determine all the evidence to help you God?
I do.
May you please have a seat in the witness stand and state your full name for the record, and please spell your last name.
Michael Mosell, Moskal.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mosell.
Good afternoon.
Where are you employed?
I am currently employed by South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, what's commonly known as SLED, and I am assigned to the Trace Evidence Department in the Forensics Division.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've been in the Trace Evidence Department for about 15 years now.
And what did you do prior to working at SLED?
Prior to working at SLED, I taught high school chemistry at Somerville High School.
And you mentioned trace evidence a minute ago. Could you clarify for the jury what that means?
Yes, ma'am. Trace evidence are pieces of evidence that are often difficult to see with the naked eye. And so most often they're going to require sensitive instrumentation and microscopes in order to be able to view them. They're going to include things like gunshot residue, paint from hit and runs, glass from breaking and enterings, fibers, explosives, and then there's a broad category of just general unknowns where we're looking to identify different chemicals that may come into play somewhere.
And how long have you worked in the field?
15 years at SLED.
And generally, what are some of your day-to-day responsibilities?
Okay. So the day-to-day responsibilities are going to be receiving evidence and analyzing it with the intention of being able to make an opinion about what the evidence may hold, issuing a report on it, and then ultimately coming to court to testify.
And is there any sort of specialized training associated with your position?
Yes, ma'am. So in the Trace Evidence Department, each one of those categories I mentioned, gunshot residue, paint, fiber, glass, explosives, each one of those has their own individual training program that lasts anywhere from about 6 months to a year, where the analyst works with a court-qualified analyst in that discipline. I worked cases side by side with them, helped them write reports and come to conclusions. At the end of the training period, after I have worked cases with them, we've had lectures, we've had lots of books to read. At the end of that training period, I was given a mock case, where I had to receive the evidence, analyze it, come up with a conclusion on my own, write a report, and then that was verified by other analysts in the department.
And without naming each one individually, approximately how many trainings have you attended?
I believe my training list is about 40 to 45 different classes that I've been to.
And have you testified as an expert before?
Yes, ma'am, I have. I've testified, I think this will be the 35th testimony.
Your Honor, at this time, the state requests Mr. Michael Mosell be qualified as an expert in the area of trace evidence. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Mosell, I want to draw your attention to March and April of 2019. Were you contacted regarding an investigation into the kidnapping and murder of Samantha Josephson?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Do you recall when you became involved with that investigation?
According to my notes, I started doing some bleach research around 4/22 of 2019.
And specifically, what was your involvement in that investigation?
I was informed that I would have a variety of evidence where there was a interest to determine whether or not bleach was present on these items.
All right, Mr. Mosell, I want to talk about oxidizers.
Yes, ma'am.
In the simplest definition that you can possibly think of, can you please describe what an oxidizer is?
Yes, ma'am. So an oxidizer is one part of a chemical reaction known as a redox reaction. It has one part that is a reducer, one part that's an oxidizer. And basically it involves the transfer of electrons from one of those particles to the other.
Would a fair characterization of that be something that causes a chemical reaction to form another chemical compound of some sort?
Yes, ma'am. During this process, new chemicals will be formed. These reactions include things that may be very slow to occur, like rusting. They may be very rapid to occur, like fires, or the discoloration that you see on clothing when something like bleach is poured onto them.
And what is an example of a strong oxidizer?
An example of a strong oxidizer would be a chlorinated bleach solution.
And how do you test for the presence of those strong oxidizers?
There are a couple pieces that we will test to determine whether a chlorinated oxidizer is present or not. The first one is a chemical test. It's a spot test, much like somebody who is running an aquarium would use to test the pH in the aquarium. You take a solution, you add a drop of a chemical to it, and if it turns one color, you know it's acidic. If it turns another color, you know it's basic. So in the lab, we use a chemical known as diphenylamine. If we have a solution that we believe may be a strong oxidizer, we'll put it into a spot plate and then add a drop of diphenylamine to it. And if it turns a bright blue instantly, we know that there was a strong oxidizer present.
Would it be fair to compare this process similar to testing for, say, the level of chlorine in your pool?
It's a similar process. The chemistry is a different reaction, but it's the same type of process. You take a solution out of the pool, add a chemical to it. If it turns one color, you know it's a certain pH. If it turns a different color, you know it's different. And then based on the color you get, you add chemicals to adjust the pH. So it's the same type of process.
And when you're conducting the spot test, if that solution turns bright blue, what did you mention that's an indication of?
So when we add diphenylamine to a solution, if it turns a dark blue instantly, that indicates that there is a strong oxidizer present.
And are your test results peer-reviewed?
Yes, ma'am, they are. Every report that we issue in the trace department is reviewed by another qualified analyst. That includes all of our documentation from the time we receive the evidence till the time we write the report.
Your Honor, I'm approaching the witness with what's been entered as State's Exhibit 25. Mr. Mosell, do you recognize what I just handed you?
Yes, ma'am, I do. State's Exhibit 5 has a barcode with the number L19-06797, item number 35.3, which is the lab number for this case and the item number for this bottle of top bleach. It also has my initial and dates from various days where I performed analysis on this item.
I believe you just said it, but did you perform a chemical analysis of the liquid inside this bottle?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what did your test results show? I believe it's item 35 in your report.
Yes, ma'am. So my results for this item of top job bleach indicate that say that a strong chlorinated oxidizer was found. And an example of a strong oxidizer containing chlorine is chlorinated bleach.
Your Honor, I'm approaching the witness with what's been previously entered into evidence as states Exhibit 23. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am, I do. There is a handwritten lab number associated with this, and the seal on the bag is my initials with the date where I sealed this evidence of completion.
And did you perform a chemical analysis on the contents of that item?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what did your test results show?
So on the germicidal wipes, again, I found a strong oxidizer containing chlorine. And so an example of a strong oxidizer containing chlorine would be chlorine bleach.
Mr. Mosell, Your Honor, I'm approaching the witness with what's been previously entered as states Exhibit 17. Mr. Mosell, do you recognize what I just handed you?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Again, states Exhibit 17 as a barcode and lab number and item number associated with this case, and it has a seal with my initials and date from where I completed this analysis.
And what did the results of your analysis show?
So my analysis on, this is a bottle of LA's Totally Awesome Cleaner. My results indicate that a light oxygenated solvent and a strong oxidizer containing chlorine was found.
And one more time, what is an example of a strong oxidizing agent containing sodium, chlorine, and oxygen?
A strong oxidizing agent containing sodium, chlorine, and oxygen, an example of that is chlorinated bleach.
And for this item in particular, did you run a standard?
Yes, ma'am. We purchased a bottle of Totally Awesome Cleaner from the store. I analyzed it.
And it was,
and what
in
did
fact,
that analysis?
totally awesome.
I apologize. When you ran the standard of what's normally contained in this brand of liquid, was there any evidence of a strong oxidizing agent containing sodium, chlorine, and oxygen, also known as bleach?
No, ma'am. In the standard that we purchased, that was analyzed and it did not contain a strong oxidizer.
Your Honor, I'm approaching the witness with what's been marked for identification purposes as States Exhibit 194 and States Exhibit 219. Do you recognize the contents of those packages?
This guy gets to test explosives for a living. And in this case, he was forced
States Exhibit 194 and Exhibit 219, again, both have the barcode with the lab number associated with this case. They contain my initials and dates on various parts of the containers. Yes, ma'am, I do recognize them.
And what are those items inside of the containers, if you will?
So States Exhibit 217 has two parts in here. One is a test tube containing a solution. That would have been a solution where I added, can I refer to my notes for 1 second?
Your Honor, may the witness refer to his notes.
Thank you. So when I receive an item where I'm looking to see whether bleach was present or not, the first thing I'm going to look for is an area of discoloration. If I find an area of discoloration, I will cut a portion of that out place it in a test tube, and add some water to it so that if anything is precipitated or there are any solids on that article, they come out into a solution. And so the test tube here is a portion of that solution that I removed from my item 107, State's Exhibit 219. The next part of the test.
Oh, Mr. Mosell, I'll stop you right there. Just briefly, did you make these cuttings yourself?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. And that would that include both items? In your report, I believe it's 107.2 and 52.1.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would ask that these items be entered into evidence. It's State's Exhibit 219 and State's Exhibit 194.
Your Honor, this is our previous objections.
They're admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And do you recall, I want to draw your attention back to item 107.2 of your report. What item of evidence did you take that cutting from?
All right, the cutting 107.2 in my lab report came from item 107, which was a black left-hand glove.
And as for item 52.1, I believe you mentioned you made the cutting, but what item of evidence did that come from?
Item 52.1 was a cutting that I took from a pair of gray Puma sweatpants.
And prior to taking those cuttings for further testing, did you notate an area of discoloration on the clothing items?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And would those areas of discoloration be consistent with bleaching?
They were consistent with what I've seen on clothes that I've bleached before, yes, ma'am.
And did you perform tests on these cuttings for the presence of a strong oxidizer such as bleach?
Yes, ma'am.
And did those tests reveal the presence of a strong oxidizer?
Neither one of them revealed the presence of a strong oxidizer, but both of them, when I did the elemental analysis, contained the elements sodium, chlorine, and oxygen.
Is it fair to say that the results are inconclusive for the presence of a chlorine-based bleach?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
When we analyze these items looking for a chlorinated oxidizer, it's a two-part test. We're looking to see that the oxidizer is present and that the elements sodium, chlorine, and oxygen are present. If one or the other portions of that test turns out negative, then the report is going to be inconclusive.
And how can that be?
Bleach, the main ingredient in bleach, or the active ingredient in it, is a chemical called sodium hypochlorite, and it decomposes very easily when it's exposed to air with increases in temperature, contact with metals. Those things are going to cause sodium hypochlorite to decompose fairly rapidly.
And what happens if those contents aren't captured and sealed relatively quickly in an airtight container?
So again, in order to be able to capture the compound itself, it needs to be sealed and collected relatively quickly. Otherwise, it degrades, and we will not be able to identify them.
And Mr. Mosell, in your opinion and based on your experience, in your expert opinion, what does bleach smell like when it's exposed to air?
Probably the most common thing to compare it to would be a chlorinated pool cleaner.
I have a court's indulgence. No further questions from the state, Your Honor.
Questions by the defense?
Please, court, Your Honor.
Yes.
Hello.
Bleach smells bleachy.
Can you tell us with the three elements that are required, the sodium, you said sodium, chlorine, and oxygen.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some examples, other just natural examples, that could leave sodium on something?
So some other common examples that are going to contain both sodium and chlorine are going to be sweat, salt from potato chips or French fries. Those are probably two of the most common things.
Okay. What about chlorine? Is there
chlorine? The pool cleaners are probably going to be about the most common thing that I can give you.
And oxygen?
Oxygen is all around us, and it's in just about everything we're going to come across.
Okay, so there's other ways that these three elements could show up individually or combined with other elements?
Yes, ma'am.
One of the items you just testified about, the gray Puma pants, is item 52.1. You said with the two-part test that you do, it failed the second part.
It did not show the presence of an oxidizer, yes, ma'am.
Okay. When you received these pants, you did your own cutting?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you cut where you noticed a discoloration?
Yes, ma'am.
I do my own stunts.
What were was it wet?
They were dry when I received them.
Okay. And the same thing with the glove? Was the glove wet or dry?
It was dry when I received it.
Okay. So when you're dealing with discolorations, you said it yourself, you bleached a shirt before.
Yes, ma'am.
So just because a shirt or a pair of pants is discolored doesn't mean it happened right then. It could have happened at another time.
Yes, ma'am. There is no timestamp on the discoloration.
Okay. You just know that you see it, so you cut it.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a way that you can do trace analysis on skin? Like if I spilled something on my hand, could you take a sample or do some testing?
For some things, yes, ma'am.
Would you be able to do that for bleach?
I have never tested bleach on somebody's hands before.
Okay. Would you be able to do it for gasoline?
We can do it for gasoline, yes, ma'am.
Why would you put gasoline on
Nobody
people's hands?
gave you anything like that to test?
No, ma'am.
Okay. It's just the items that you have in your report?
Just the items in my report, yes, ma'am.
And it's not up to you to go out and get something. You're only able to test what you're given?
Correct.
Begging the court's indulgence. Thank you, Mr. Mosell. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further?
Very briefly, Your Honor. Mr. Mosell, defense just asked you about other potential sources, if you will, of portions of elements that could be combined to form bleach, which is what we were talking about here.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think she mentioned French fries, sweat, and grease.
Yes, ma'am.
Do those things typically give off the odor of pool cleaner?
Not in my experience.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mosell. No further questions, Your Honor.
Oh, you haven't tried the new pool cleaner flavored Lay's. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you,
No one
sir.
can have just one.
Thank you.
Open a new bag of those. And I dip them in the gasoline flavored.
We'll take a break
dip.
now, ladies and gentlemen, for about 10 minutes.
Tasty.
Please do not discuss the case. 10-minute break.
All right. 10-minute break. Let me see if we actually get the break or not. I think we do. So let's see what's happening here. Let's come back to court. We're about ready. Let's see, super source. Let's go here. Oh, there.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Quick 10 minutes, guys. I hope you didn't run to the bathroom and then
State calls Dawn
find out you didn't
Clayton.
have time to do what you thought you had time to do. They are saying beg the court's indulgence. They say that every time they're slow about something. Every time they need a moment to think, consult with the counsel. Whatever.
Dawn Claycomb, C-L-A-Y-C-O-M-B.
Good afternoon, Ms. Claycomb.
Good afternoon.
Where are you currently employed?
Duke Energy in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hey, NC in the house.
In what capacity?
Digital forensics investigator.
Duke Energy
Where did you
has
work in March and
forensic
April of
investigators?
2019?
At the South
Got
Carolina
to figure
Law
out my
Enforcement
power
Division.
bill.
Is that also known as SLED?
Yes, also known as SLED.
And how long were you with SLED?
Almost 7 years.
In what capacity were you employed with SLED?
I was a crime scene agent at SLED.
And generally, what were some of your day-to-day responsibilities for that job?
Responding to any crime scene requests throughout the state of South Carolina. That includes death investigations, officer-involved shootings, child fatalities, and any follow-up scenes that would be necessary, such as an autopsy or any follow-up processing.
Were you contacted regarding an investigation involving the murder and kidnapping of Samantha Josephson?
Yes, I was.
Did you become involved with that investigation?
Yes, I did.
And what was the extent of your involvement?
I responded to her autopsy at the Medical University of South Carolina.
And did you collect any items from the autopsy?
Yes, I did. I collected swabs from her right and left ankles.
Did you collect any items of the victim's clothing while you were there?
Yes, that was also transferred over to me after the autopsy was completed.
Did you take any post-mortem prints of the
Yes, post-mortem major case prints. They're basically inked known impressions from the hands and feet during, or this was after the autopsy.
I'm approaching with what's been marked as, for identification purposes, as State's Exhibit 191. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, ma'am, these are the swabs.
And swabs from what exactly?
Swabs from the right ankle, from her right ankle, as well as her left ankle.
And when you say her, you mean?
Samantha Josephson.
And that's the victim in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And those items in that I just handed you, those are the actual swabs that you took?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, Your Honor, State would ask to enter item 191 into evidence.
No objection.
Submitted.
Purple Haze, I had a cinnamon roll this morning for breakfast, and now I want another
Ms.
one,
Beckham,
so I'm going to
you
go
mentioned
grab
that you collected some other items from the autopsy.
Yes, ma'am.
And that included clothing items?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the process generally of taking prints from a deceased victim?
Generally, we commonly collect known inked impressions from the hands after an autopsy is completed. That's to have a known standard to be compared to any unknown fingerprints that may be collected as seen.
And when the prints are taken, are the extremities cleaned at that time, or might they have other things on them?
Typically, once the autopsy is completed, they've already been cleaned. The hands have been cleaned at that point. We may document any wounds we may see to the hands, and then we place ink, would be black ink, onto the palms of the hands to collect those known impressions of the ridges.
And you mentioned you would take photographs of the extremities prior to prints?
Yes, if there are any wounds, to document the wounds.
I'm approaching with what's been ID'd as State's Exhibit 222, 223, 224, 225, 226, and 227. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what is on those photographs?
This first photograph is a picture.
Ms. Beckham, I apologize. Just generally, what do those depict?
Of the hands and the feet.
And are those the photographs that you took of Samantha Josephson at autopsy?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, State asks that the aforementioned items are entered into evidence.
Number 3 is objection.
They are admitted.
Ms. Beckham, if you could show the jury, I believe there's a couple photos in there. Do they depict injuries?
Yes, they do. This first one, I can show this.
Commissioner Publish, Your Honor?
This first one here is of her right palm. And you can see the wound.
Ms. Beckham, I apologize. What item number is on the back?
This is 222.
And what does 222 depict?
This is a photograph of her right palm with a wound to the palm. This is the back side of her right hand. This is the other side of the wound on her right hand.
And Ms. Beckham, what item number is that?
223. This is a photograph of the bottom of her right foot, and this is State's Exhibit 224.
And is that how the foot would appear prior to taking a print?
Yes, correct. No ink on it. This is just a close-up photo, still again of her right foot, just not the entire foot, and this is State's Exhibit 225.
Do you notice anything on the bottom of her foot there?
There's just some discoloration in the foot. This photograph is of her left hand, the back side of her left hand. This is State's Exhibit 226.
Do you notice any discoloration on that photo?
Yes, there appear to be small scratches and some discoloration in the hand as well. This is a close-up photo of her right hand. It would be just the fingers, more of the fingertips or the nail beds. This is State's Exhibit 227.
Do you notice any discoloration in the nails?
Yes, there's some discoloration in the nails as well.
I'm approaching with what's been marked as State's Exhibit 183 and 184 for identification purposes. Ms. Claycomb, do you recognize the envelopes that I just handed you?
Yes, ma'am. Both of these items are the post-mortem major case prints from the hands and the feet.
Let's start with item 183. If you could, can you please open that up for us?
Yes, ma'am.
It's called the Breakfast Company, Lot Cali Girl. The Breakfast Company. That cinnamon roll was delicious. Yeah, that was good. Mm-hmm. Sugar crash incoming.
State's Exhibit 183.
And what is that?
These are the inked post-mortem prints from the hands. As you can see, these are...
just for ID purposes for right now. And Ms. Claycomb, are these the handprints that you took in April of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, State asks item 183 be entered in evidence.
State moves that those items be admitted into evidence. What says the defense?
No objection.
They're admitted.
And permission to publish to the jury, Your Honor?
Yes. You may publish any items that are in evidence
Thank you, Your Honor.
without requesting the court's permission.
Thank you, Your Honor.
These are the inked impressions from the hands. As you can see, there's 4 strips. There's a square on each strip that just represents the fingertips from each hand. Ink's placed on the hand just to represent the ridges on the hand, and then it's placed onto these strips. These are palm cards. Basically, it's to document the larger areas of the hand on the palm of the hand, the palm itself, the thumb side, the pinky side, as well as down to the wrist. You can see here the wrist area, the palm, here's the full palm, and then
These are slaps.
full fingers, as well as the upper palm and the full fingers to the tips. And there's 2 typically done for one hand. You can see here the full palm. This was the right palm that had the wound, and that's documented as well, because obviously in that area the ridge detail may be disturbed.
Thank you, Ms. Claycomb. As for item State's 184, would you mind opening that envelope as well?
State's Exhibit 184.
Yes, ma'am.
These are the inked known impressions from the bottom or the soles of Samantha's feet.
And are those the impressions that you took?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, state moves for item 184 to be entered into evidence. Thank you, Ms. Clayton. You may show the jury.
Again, these are similar to the hands, but obviously from the feet, the 4 strips with each box of the tips of the toes, very similar to the fingertips. And then a full impression after inked of the right and left foot from toe to heel. And then again, similar to the hands, broken down into sections of the foot, kind of midfoot to toe, midfoot to toe, midfoot to toe, and then tips of the toes. And similar on the other side. And this is similar to what I just showed you, but this is the left foot. And same again, similar to the ones I just showed you. These are the right.
Thank you, Ms. Clayton. I'm approaching with what's been marked previously as states 214 to 218. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes, ma'am. These were the pants collected from Samantha during the autopsy.
And do the photographs of those pants fairly and accurately depict the pants that you collected that day at the autopsy?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, they do.
Your Honor, state moves for states 214 to 218 be entered into evidence.
So, with regard to those exhibits, were there any objection to any of those exhibits now being offered?
I didn't believe so, Your Honor.
Well, I've already ruled on the admissibility of them.
Right. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Clayton, could you please show a couple of the photographs to the jury and explain what they are?
Yes, ma'am. This is the State's Exhibit 218. This is a photo of the front of the pants. This is an overall of the rear of the pants, State's Exhibit 214, and this was with a scale in it that a defect was observed within the pants. This is a close-up photo of the upper waist area of the pants, State's Exhibit 217. This is a close-up photograph of one of the defects on the pants, State's Exhibit 215. And another defect, State's Exhibit 216 on the pants.
Thank you, Ms. Clayton. I'm approaching with what's been marked as States 185.
One pair of black in color, size 6 with suspected blood from Samantha Josephson.
And are those the pants that you collected from autopsy?
Yes.
State moves to enter item 185 into evidence, Your Honor.
Okay. They're admitted without objection.
Among the other items that you collected, do you recall what those included?
As far as clothing items?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, there were sandals, a bra, a bralette, and a kind of an overshirt, kind of a mid, it wasn't a full-length shirt, it was a mid-level shirt.
I'm approaching with what's been marked as State's Exhibit 190. Ms. Clayton, do you recognize that item?
This was an earring that was collected from her right ear during the autopsy.
Is that the earring that you collected?
Yes.
Your Honor, State moves to enter item 190 into evidence.
No objection.
Could you please show the jury?
This is one stud earring.
Thank you, Ms. Clayco. Approaching the State's 204 and 205. Do you recognize those?
Yes, ma'am, this is the bra and the bralette that was collected at autopsy.
Could you please show the jury so they can get a better picture of what we're talking about?
This is State's Exhibit 205, and this is the bra that was collected. This is State's Exhibit 204. This was the bralette.
I'm approaching with what's been marked as States 186 and 187. Do you recognize those two items? Ms. Clayco?
This is the bra and the bralette that's packaged.
Could you, I can get you some gloves if you need some. Do you mind opening that up for me?
State's Exhibit 187, the bralette.
Is that the bralette that you collected on autopsy?
Yes.
And did you have a chance to open up States 186?
State's Exhibit 186 is the bra.
Is that the bra you collected from the autopsy?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, State moves to enter item 186, 187 in evidence.
No objection.
Ms. Clayco, could you please show those items to the jury?
Yes, ma'am. This is State's Exhibit 186, the bra. State's Exhibit 187, the bralette.
Handing you what's been entered into evidence, States 206 through 213. Do you recognize those images?
Yes, I do.
And what do those images depict?
These are images of the shirt collected at autopsy.
And are there any, is there anything that you noticed specifically about the shirt?
Yes, ma'am. It was hard to tell the natural color of the shirt. It was saturated, the whole entire shirt was saturated with blood, so it was hard to tell the natural, original color of the shirt.
Your Honor, may I have the witness step down?
Thank you, Dakota. 3 months. Thank you, thank you. That was a little squeak. Very quiet one, but I'm counting it.
Approaching with what's been marked as State's Exhibit 189. Do you recognize that package?
Yes, ma'am. This was the shirt collected at autopsy.
Can you do me a favor and peek inside that package before you take anything out, just to make sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the shirt you collected at autopsy?
It's packaged in additional white paper.
Your Honor, State moves to enter State's 189 into evidence.
Without objection.
Submitted without objection.
See State's Exhibit 189. You can see it's further packaged in white paper.
We are counting how many squeaks there are in court. I'm not sure if it's leather seats, if it's a balloon clown in court making balloon animals for everybody, or if somebody just had some bad Taco Bell. But there's a lot of squeaks in this court. So we're counting them all and not guessing at what they're coming from.
Back of the shirt. The front of the shirt.
Thank you, Ms. Clayton. Approaching with what's been entered as States 195 through 203. Do you recognize what's in those photographs?
Yes, ma'am. These are the photos of the sandals she was wearing.
And did you collect those at autopsy as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you notice anything about those sandals that was peculiar? What was on them? What did they look like? If you
Yes,
could also
ma'am.
show the jury, but also state the number for the record, please.
So this is an overall photo of the sandals. This is State's Exhibit 200. They were sort of a sandal with a strap at the front, and then you can see these kind of went up the back of the heel with a strap above the ankle with a buckle. And the right strap on the front was no longer attached to her foot. Both sandals were actually just dangling from the actual straps above the ankle. So this is State's Exhibit 198. You can see the front strap here appeared to be broken or damaged. And here's a close-up photo of it, State's Exhibit 201. And a better photo of it with the strap moved, State's Exhibit 202.
approaching with what's been marked as states 188 for ID purposes. Do you recognize that item, Ms. Pickles?
Yes, ma'am, these are the shoes.
Could you, if you don't mind, just take a peek inside, put on some gloves, and just make sure.
This is also packaged in additional white paper.
Could you please undo that white paper?
Yes, ma'am, the shoes.
Are these the shoes that you collected at autopsy?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, state moves to enter states 188 into evidence.
No objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Claycomb, could you please hold up, I guess we could go one at a time, one of the shoes?
Yes, ma'am.
And show the jury.
So this is the left shoe. This strap is still intact. However, it was not attached to the front of her left foot. This top strap was still buckled and attached around her ankle, and it was just dangling with the buckle. This is the right shoe. And this, you can see the strap is damaged. And same thing with the right shoe. It was attached above her ankle with the buckle around her ankle, above her ankle and her leg.
Thank you, Ms. Claycomb. And after you collected all of these items from autopsy, what did you do with them?
They were transported back to the SLED laboratory and transferred over to Lieutenant Schenk.
And is that the extent of your involvement in the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Examination.
Your Honor, please report.
You did have a little bit more involvement in the case. Do you remember?
Yes, ma'am. That was only for autopsy. Right. That I was referring to.
So
yes,
follow-up, that was a follow-up incident.
Correct.
Or a follow-up scene, I think
Correct.
is what you called it earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
You also helped Agent Jazik that we heard from earlier today.
Yes, ma'am.
At the search warrant of Maria Howard's house.
Correct.
And at both scenes, I'll talk to you about the autopsy first. You're not the only one there at the autopsy.
No, ma'am.
There's a medical examiner.
Correct.
And an assistant to the medical examiner.
Correct.
And potentially other investigators.
Correct.
And everyone is gloved if there's any interaction at all with the...
So you're not allowed directly into the autopsy room unless you're physically collecting something. Otherwise, they will not let you stay in there. There is a viewing room that separates, so you're separated by a wall and a window, where you can then view the entire autopsy during the process.
So at any point, it would just then be either yourself or anybody actually doing the exam.
The pathologist and his assistant.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And each of those people involved wearing gloves.
Yes, ma'am.
And the medical examiner, and I'm assuming his assistant, would be wearing more protective gear.
They are fully PPE gear, head to toe. Yes, ma'am.
And April 3rd, same thing. You're at the search warrant of Maria Howard's house.
Correct.
Your job was to take photographs.
Correct.
Agent Jazik, she took notes.
Correct.
Again, you're both wearing gloves.
Correct.
And while collecting these items.
Yes, ma'am.
And you just collected the items from there, right?
Correct.
Didn't do any processing of anything
No,
there.
no analyzing. No, ma'am.
And that goes to the lab at SLED, all of those items.
Yes, ma'am. Back to the lab for analysis.
Where they would do the processing and the analysis.
Correct.
Let me just check here. And I'll ask you this, you collected one earring at the autopsy, you said, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was out of the right ear?
Yes, ma'am.
You did not collect the left ear?
No, ma'am. There was none in the left ear.
And at some point, I think the fingernail pictures, that could work some indulgence. At autopsy, these fingernails were cut, right?
Yes, ma'am. Fingernail clippings were collected from both the right and left hand by the pathologist.
They were longer than that at the time, before they were cut.
Yes, ma'am.
That could work some indulgence.
Is the next search on February 28th?
Oops. So you're not supposed to throw the water bottle on the soundboard with the volume turned up.
Anything further?
That's
Thank
a new
you.
one
You may
for me.
step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
At least the lid was on.
Next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Investigator Fitzgerald.
Because he's the guy.
The testimony shall give in this case from the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Witness stand and state your full name for the record.
David Brendan Dove, D-O-V-E.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And I called you Britt. Do you go by Britt?
Yes, ma'am, I do go by Britt.
And can you tell this jury what do you do for a living?
Yes, ma'am. I am currently employed with the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, also known as SLED. I'm the lieutenant in charge of the Computer Crime Center at SLED. I've been employed at SLED for 13 years now. Previous to that, I've worked in law enforcement beginning in January 1999, or December 1999, excuse me, with the West Columbia Police Department, and also I've worked at the Richland County Sheriff's Department.
And you said you've been with SLED for how long?
I began with SLED in June of 2008 for a little over 13 years.
And have you always been in the same division that you are now?
Yes, ma'am. I started in computer crimes, doing investigations and digital forensics, and now I'm the lieutenant of the unit.
And can you explain to the jury what are digital forensics?
Digital forensics in our realm that we do, when we receive items in, whether it be a computer, a tower, laptop, a tablet, cell phone, GPS system, car infotainment center, DVR, servers, anything dealing with that, we will do forensics on it as far as trying to do forensic copies or images of the items, or do extractions and process those items for any information contained within.
And how do you do this? Is it different for, go back. Do you have to use the same process with each device, or does each device have a different process?
Each device will have a different process. If you were processing a laptop, for example, you could remove the hard drive. At that time, you would connect it to a write blocker and then process it through the software on the computer. If you're doing a cell phone, you would connect that through a software hardware, different variations, different brands of them, and from that point you would extract the information and review the extraction.
And do you get specific training on how to do this, or have you had specific training?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
What kind of training have you had?
I am currently certified as a Celebrite operator.
And I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
Nobody knows what Celebrite is but you,
Okay.
so what is Celebrite?
Celebrite is one of the products we use, one of the forensic products we use when we extract from tablets or cell phones. It's a company that's known worldwide that is one of the ones that we use.
And I interrupted you, so you're certified on that. What else? Other training do you have?
I'm also certified as a Celebrite physical analyst. I'm also certified as an advanced smartphone analyst, both with Celebrite. I'm also certified with Mobilize operator with them. I'm associated with the South Carolina Electronic Crimes Task Force, the FBI Cyber Working Group, and a task force member. Also the FBI InfraGuard, the South Carolina Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, and South Carolina Fraud Watch Coalition member. And I've received numerous trainings from Celebrite, the FBI, United States Secret Service through their National Computer Forensic Institution.
And have you been have you been qualified as an expert in court before?
Yes, ma'am, I have approximately 6 times.
And in what area of expertise?
I've been qualified in both computer forensics and cell phone forensics.
This time, Your Honor, I'd ask for Mr. Dove to be qualified in the field of cell phone forensics.
Says defense. He's so qualified.
So, is it Analyst Dove, Lieutenant Dove? What am I supposed to call you?
Hey, I go by Lieutenant Dove or just Britt's fine.
Okay. So, Britt, can you explain to this jury? You talked about Celebrite a little bit. Do you use that with every phone, or what do you use with phones to analyze them?
We don't use it with every phone because every phone is different. We can go to it a lot of times. It's kind of our first choice because we have more of that product right now. But we also have other things like XRY. We have Magnet Axiom that we can use on cell phones too. And we also had Mobilize. It used to be a standalone company. It's now been bought by Celebrite.
And how did you become, in this case, involving the murder of Samantha Josephson?
I was contacted on the early morning hours of the 29th to respond to the scene at Columbia Police Department regarding a missing female from USC. Once I arrived on scene, I was asked to process a cell phone. I can't remember, I believe it was the boyfriend's cell phone. I was asked to look at it while I was there at scene, trying to set up my equipment and go through that. Other things developed. At what time I was asked to respond to 600 Saluda Avenue.
And you said boyfriend's phone. Whose boyfriend were you speaking of?
It was Samantha Josephson's.
Okay. And so, what did you do when you went to Saluda Avenue?
When I went to Saluda Avenue, I stood by, I saw that there were phones that had been pulled out of the car, placed on the hood of the car. At that point, the scene was secured, so I stood by until a search warrant was obtained. At what time the search warrant was obtained and we were able to seize the items, I let Crime Scene with SLED photograph the area, and once they finished photographing and documenting it, I then collected the items.
I'm going to show you with the mark that says Exhibit 331 and 330 and ask if you recognize these items.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what are those two items?
States 331, it's marked as a cell phone in Alcatel black in color, and it was taken from the inside of the car. And then states 330, it's marked as an iPhone, cell phone pink in color, no SIM card, it was collected from the roof of the car.
And how do you know those were did you collect those items?
Yes, ma'am, I collected the items with time and dates on there of when the items were collected. Once the items were collected, they were secured in my SLED vehicle and then transported to the Computer Crime Center located on Bush River Road.
And how do you know that those items are the same items you collected?
It's my handwriting on the bag, and I also did the intake once I got back to the SLED Computer Crime Center. So once I did that, I placed the evidence label on the bag after I logged them into our evidence system.
This time, Your Honor, I'd ask to introduce States Exhibit 330 and 331 into evidence. And we will. Can we start with item 330? You go ahead and open it. And can you? I'm sorry. Can you show it to the jury?
Yes, I'm sorry. It is an Apple iPhone. It is rose gold in color.
And is it in the same condition as you received it on March 29th or March 30th? I'm sorry.
The only other change to the condition of this is it was on when I received it, and it's currently off.
Okay, but it was on and working when you received it?
Yes, ma'am.
And how about item 331? You can show it to the jury as well.
331 is another cell phone. It's an Alcatel cell phone.
What is Alcatel? Is it a brand?
It's a brand of cell phone. It's made, I believe, by TCL.
So, for example, saying iPhone is a brand, Alcatel is just a brand of phone?
iPhone is actually the model of the Apple phone. Alcatel is the brand of the phone.
Okay. And so, what do you do? Did you have any other phones to analyze?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I collected 4 phones that night.
And so I'm gonna. What do you do with all 4 phones? Do you do the same thing initially?
Yes, ma'am. When the phones come in or any piece of electronic comes into our unit, the first thing we will do is we will photograph it in the state in which we receive it in. For instance, if it has a cracked screen, it'll be documented with photographs. If it's on, it's documented. If there's other defects, they'll be documented. So all 4 phones were photographed, and then at what time I began to enter them into our evidence system. Once that got done, they printed out labels to associate the evidence number with that item. I placed the items on the bag and then began to process them.
Not sure why the cameraman's holding this shot. What? Maybe I'm not sure. I'm not going to comment. Hope you're recovering well. Say my name. Welcome. I'm feeling the sugar crash after eating that cinnamon roll. Yesterday, the cameraman got permission to raise one of the cameras up a couple feet. So we don't have the midget cam that we had before. Made everyone look like a giant. If I don't stop, they might be the last thing I ever eat in my life.
And what is State's Exhibit 332?
They are my examination worksheets. The majority of them involve the cell phones. There's also one in here that is a forensic imaging sheet from a thumb drive that I obtained at the scene, where I did a forensic image of that to process it for any information on it.
And are all of those records created by yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
And do those fairly and accurately depict the records, the reports that you made involving the phones that we're discussing?
Yes, ma'am.
Altered in any way?
No, ma'am.
This time I'd ask to introduce State's Exhibit 332 into evidence.
It's my first day.
Are these records that are kept in your normal course of business in dealing with cell phones?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
Would be my only response, not raising the hearsay objection.
Anything further?
Nothing, Your Honor.
They are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I'm going to have you have your own copy?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, I'm young.
So what is item number 1 on your report?
Item number 1 is identified as an Apple iPhone. It's a model A1661, 32 gigabytes in size. I was not able to obtain the serial number from that one.
And I'm going to stop you with that. Why weren't you able to get the serial number off of that one?
That phone was locked.
And what do you mean by locked?
It had a passcode on it, and I was not able to get into it to process it fully.
Well, aren't you able to just break the passcode or something?
No, ma'am, not always. We do have software and hardware to use to try to bypass passcodes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends a lot on the type of password they have. If you have a 4-digit passcode and you use all zeros, it's going to be a lot easier to get by than if you have a 6-digit, 8-digit passcode that's alphanumeric and you're putting letters and numbers and that kind of combination in there.
And item number 1, which phone is that with?
I'm sorry, repeat.
Which phone does item number 1 relate to? It's not the Alcatel phone, correct? It's the
No, ma'am, it's an Apple iPhone.
And whose phone was that? Did that end up belonging to?
I believe that was seized from Mr. Rowland's person at the scene.
All right. And that one you stated already had a passcode. Is that the same as the password?
Yes, ma'am.
And is a passcode just the way to lock the phone? Is it sometimes your fingerprint, your face, or is it always going to be a number?
It didn't always have to be a number. It could be alphanumeric also, especially with the more advanced security features. You can now use numbers, or you can change it and use numbers and more complex and put letters in there.
Okay. So it can be a combination of things. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
And you stated that that was locked.
Yes, ma'am.
And what about item number 2?
Item number 2 was also an Apple iPhone. It was an 8 Plus, 256 gigabyte in size, and it has an IMEI that I was able to record on it of 3548290915876638.
And what you just read that number, what is that? Is that like a serial number? What is that?
It's an international mobile equipment identification number.
And
now we all know it.
That goes to the Apple iPhone that was collected at the scene.
Is that the one that you just showed to the jury?
No, ma'am. That was item 3 of my report that I showed to the jury. That was the rose gold.
All right. So let's go to number 3. What is that one?
Item number 3 is an Apple iPhone, an 8 Plus, 64 gigabyte in size. It has an IMEI number of 35301009504138.
And what phone does who does this phone belong to?
That was one that was collected from the car. It was the rose gold one.
Okay. And you were able to give us that IMEI number. Why were you able to get that?
That phone was not locked, and it was on when I was able to process it.
And what about item number 4?
Item number 4 was the Alcatel phone that I showed. It was a model 5056N. It was 4 gigabytes in internal size, and it had an IMEI number of 0146500068595446.
And again, were you able, was this phone locked or unlocked?
This phone was locked, but I was able to bypass the lock code.
And how were you able to bypass the lock on this one?
Well, we used Celebrite with that phone, and there were vulnerabilities that Celebrite has found. They were able to bypass the lock code on it.
And that, I believe you said this, but that led you to be able to get the IMEI number?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that allow you to get all information off the phone as well?
Yes, ma'am. I was able to do a physical extraction on that phone.
So let's talk about physical extraction. What is a physical extraction?
A physical extraction, cell phones can be done 3 different ways usually. You can get a physical extraction. It's going to get you pretty much all the information. It's going to get you hidden files. It's going to get you deleted information. It's going to gather your most information. There's also what's called a file system extraction. It's going to be a step back from the physical. It's going to get you some of the deleted information, but not all the hidden information. And then there's a logical extraction. Logical is going to get you the least amount. Usually, think about logical would be looking at what you can see going through your phone. Not always the deleted stuff that may be there or the other things operate in the background, such as databases and things. A physical extraction will get you the file systems. It'll get you the logical stuff you can see, plus some of the hidden files you are not able to see on your phone.
So I'm going to start first with the rose gold iPhone. Were you able to get into that phone and get the physical extraction from it?
On that phone, I was able to get in and do a full file system. At this time, I'm not able to and don't have the ability to do full physical extractions on Apple products. Full file systems are the largest we were able to gather on that, and I was able to process that because there was no password on it, and I was able to get by the backups on there.
And so based on that, what were you able to get from that phone?
I got a ton of information from the phone. I could gather location information because it was turned on the phone. I was able to collect chats, MMS messages, internet history searches, call logs, contact lists, photos, videos, and a variety of things.
And were you able to determine who owned that phone, who that phone belonged to?
I was able to acquire a name for the user account of that phone.
And what was that name?
The Apple ID is identified as SAMIJBBALL@AOL.com. I was also able to get names from computers that phone had been synced with also.
And what names were you able to get?
It was Samantha's MacBook Pro /user, Samantha Josephson was one of them. Sammy's MacBook Pro 421, user Sammy Josephson.
And you stated that you were able to get location information. Can you explain to the jury what you mean by location information?
Yes, ma'am. When you turn your location information on a phone, when you download a new app, sometimes when you pull up the news sites, it'll say turn on your location information for more accurate, news or weather, what have you. She had her location information turned on the phone. It's also how you can use it to do Find My Friends, Find My iPhones, things like that. So what I was able to do with the extraction was to go in and look at the location information. Then I could take that information and I could export it as a KML file, which that file you're able to put into Google Earth, and it will drop pins at every place it has the latitude and longitude that phone's been seen at.
And were you able to do that with this phone?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And while we're setting up, I think you said this, but can you do this if the phone is off and it's been turned off by the user?
If the phone is turned off, it's not going to be transmitting. It's not going to reach out to the towers. It's not going to reach out with the GPS coordinates. It's not going to reach out for data. So when a phone's off, you're not going to be able to record those locations. If the phone's on and the location services are turned on, with the exception of being in a building, like a heavily concreted or steel building that's going to interfere with the signals, you would be able to obtain that.
And you stated you were able to locate and put things on pins on Google Earth, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I exported the file for the location information and dropped it into Google Earth, and it revealed a map with pins on it with time, dates, and locations.
And is this that map?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and for demonstrative purposes, I'm going to make it a little bigger, remove it. Can you tell the jury what time it started showing locations that you took down and put on this map?
I believe the time was at 1:58 a.m. on the 29th. I limited the scope of it because there were just so many information points and location points on the phone. It would have just been hard because it would have tracked everywhere that phone has been. So I limited it to the time that I was given as far as the last time Ms. Josephson was seen to when it stopped, and we recovered the phone on the 30th.
So when you first started doing the pins, because it's hard to show on this map exactly where it is, where is it?
It's in the 5 Points area.
Does it stay in the 5 Points area?
For a period of time it does, and then about the 210, 212 mark, it starts to move out of 5 Points into the Rosewood area.
So if I move my finger, is this what we're talking about, moving to the right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And all of these pins, as you see them like that, those are the different locations of our phone, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know for sure that that's locations and not? We've heard about towers. What is the difference between a tower and this GPS actual location?
Those are our GPS coordinates. They did not have to interact with a tower, a cell phone tower, as far as a cell phone tower collects information from the cell phone, and then you would triangulate the towers to be able to find the location of the cell phone. This is what came off the phone, the GPS coordinates of it.
So which is more reliable, this or the tower information?
They both have a certain degree of inconsistency. GPS locations, if you think about it with your phone or your GPS system, you can be driving along and all of a sudden it tells you to take a right turn and 500 feet and you look and you're 2 feet away from it. Because sometimes there's lag in GPS. So that way there is going to be a certain degree that it's not going to, you can't say it's 100% that spot, but it puts you in the area within probably less than a mile.
And that's what I mean. If it tells you that you're downtown, if you're not out in Chapin.
No, ma'am.
And so it continues to stay in the downtown Columbia area, is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
And when does it stop tracking?
It's about 2:33, I believe, a.m. In the South Ott area. It was the last pin I was able to see.
Okay, and so where these pins are is where it stops?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, why would it stop?
Most likely it would have been turned off. It could have run out of power and gone dead, but it would have lost power or been turned off.
And does it ever come back on?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
And I'm not going to pull that one up right now, but where does it come back on at?
And it comes back on also in the downtown area around the 8:46 a.m. time. Stays on, travels out towards Monticello Road around the 11:30 time frame that morning. Then it goes off and you have another gap of time, and it shows up later that evening on the 30th where I have it going down Leesburg Road. I say it traveled down Leesburg Road into the Mountain Brook area.
All right. And so in order for you to see this information, the phone is either off, is it off or on?
Yes, ma'am. It would have to be on to be able to get that information.
And so did you provide this information to anyone else in law enforcement?
Yes, ma'am. I provided the information to the case agents with SLED and also the Columbia Police Department. I took the information, the location information, and created an Excel spreadsheet and put down addresses in the area of that in the hopes of locating additional cameras or other information so they could see where the phone had traveled.
And I'm now going to move on to a different phone, okay? You also were able to get information from a phone connected with Maria Howard, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And which phone was that?
That is item number 8.
And what type of phone was her phone?
Give me 1 second. Her phone is a ZTE phone. It's a model N9519. It's a 16 gig in size with a serial number of 320775291418.
And how did you use the same extraction process you just spoke to the jury about to get information from her phone?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And were you able to get all the information from her phone?
No, ma'am. Her phone was an Android-based phone, and it didn't interact the same with the Celebrite machine I was using as the Apple phone did. So I was able to require a lot of information, but not get a full physical extraction from it.
Were you able to get her text messages around the time of March 28th and 29th?
Yes, ma'am. I got call logs, text messages, some images, videos. I wasn't able to get all the databases and the additional kind of hidden areas.
And I want to...
And it gets really quiet right here. So I have to talk or else I'm going to fall asleep. I did just get a notice from my internet provider that some customers in my area are experiencing disruption of service. While technicians are working to quickly resolve the issue, there is no current estimated time for restoration of service. Thank you for your patience, and we apologize for the inconvenience. Text stop to opt out. I'm going to opt out of the disruption of service.
And ask if you recognize it.
But looks like mine's still up. So.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what is that?
This is the extraction report, part of the extraction report I ran for item number 8, which is the ZTE for Ms. Howard.
And is that a record that's kept in the normal course of your business as far as it concerns the extraction report?
Yes, ma'am. Once we do the extraction of the report, we'd go through and produce this type of report.
And has it been changed in any way?
No, ma'am.
This time we'd ask to introduce state's exhibit number 333 into evidence.
Object on hearsay grounds, Your Honor.
Submit an objection.
Thank you. And I'm not going to go into all of this, but I will ask you, on these records, it says, for example, the first one says 6/2/2019. Is that the correct date?
Yes, ma'am, it is. But the way they do the dates is they will put the day first, then the month, then the year. That's the way the format is when I laid this report out.
So instead of being what I would think is June 2nd, 2019, it's actually February 2nd, 2019?
Yes, ma'am, correct.
So I'm just going to show you a couple of pages from that report. Can you see from up there?
No, ma'am.
You can come down here then.
I can't see that. Let me put it on the big screen. Still can't see it.
I'm just going to need you to keep your voice up.
Got phone numbers?
So what does, I'm going to highlight it, what does where it says 964, what does that mean?
That's just an identification number that's placed on the report,
Hit
just
the
a way to
plus
keep
button.
track of it. It's something the report generates when it makes itself.
And here in this column where, oh shoot, sorry, there you go. In this column where it says a name, what does that mean?
That's a name would be identified in the phone. When you put a contact in your phone, you assign it a name, and that's what that would reflect, is that phone number next to it, and then it associates with that name. That's something that the user would have put in there.
And sticking with the highlighted one, what is the phone number that's listed?
The phone number is 803-862-8267.
And at what time is that text sent?
It's showing that it's sent, according to the report, it's 29/03/2019, which would actually be March 29th, 2019 at 5:31:31 a.m.
And what does where it says GMT -4, what does that represent?
Computer systems, especially when you talk about servers, they're what's called UTC or GMT time, which is universal time, and it's always at 0. To figure out the time zones, you would back it up or move it forward depending on where you move from that 0 point. So what happens is, since we are 4 hours or 5 hours behind, depending on daylight savings time, this is reflective of the -4, because we at that time of the year, we were 4 hours behind the UTC time. So that's why you can see -4, which puts it in our time zone, Eastern Standard Time zone.
So what time did this message get sent?
At 5:31:31.
And I'm saying it was sent. Is that represented in here?
Yes, ma'am. It shows the 2 columns that it was sent.
Message was just
the phone was using was an outgoing
WYA.
And it says WYA.
Where are you at?
Do you have any idea what WYA means?
No, ma'am. Not in this context.
And I'm going to go down to 967.
Where are you
Again,
at?
What is the phone number associated on this
Next one, Bay.
It's
I'm late.
803,
ASF for work.
8267.
And what time, what day and time is that one sent?
It's also the same date on March 29th, 2019 at 7:01:22 a.m.
And again, is it sent?
It's sent from the phone. It's an outgoing message.
And what does it say?
It says, Bay, I'm late, ASF for work.
And that's sent from Maria Howard's phone to Nate's phone?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the next one. What number is it sent to?
It's 1-803-514-3239.
And how has she labeled that number?
That number is labeled as Mom's.
And what time does she send that one?
It's sent on the 29th, 2019 at 8:03:17 a.m. It's also showing sent messages. It's also showing phone and outgoing.
And what does it say?
Baby tried, LOL, my shirt wet, ASF. He will not be wasting clothes ever. Have a good day, Mom, love you.
So I'm going to go to the next one. All right. Me and Adobe are not friends, so we're going to try this again. There we go. So I'm going to go to the next one. And is these, when I pull it up, when I ask you, are these still the same reports that we were just talking about?
Yes, and you can see from the top up here that it's got the examination report, the ZTE, GSM, same model number from the previous one.
So this is the same Maria Howard's phone again?
Yes, ma'am. It's Maria Howard's phone, just another page of the report.
And I want you to go down to this one here. What does it say down here at the bottom?
It's in column 1112. It's phone number 843-615-9625, and it's titled Brother Baby. and it's 3/30/2019 at 12:38:25 p.m.
And what does it say? Was it sent?
It was sent from the phone and showing an outgoing message.
And what does it say?
It says, Chloe's shoes got blood on them.
And last one on this one. From the top line, can you do the same thing with that one?
Yes, ma'am. This is also from the same report from the ZTE phone, same model number. It's 1113 is the column number, and it's going to be 843-615-9625. It's also to Brother Baby. It's 3/30/2019 at 12:38:42 p.m. It's sent from the phone. It's outgoing, and the message is from when she got in the car last night.
And then what is 1115?
It's going to be from 843.
Chloe's shoes got blood on them from when she got in the car last night.
3/30/2019, 12:43:01 p.m. It's showing sent from the phone outgoing. It says it's on the bottom of the shoes. You ain't got to buy new shoes.
That you may have seen. So, I'm going to go back to some of the other phones. Were you able to get any phones that you then associated with the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you able to break into either of those phones to gain the same GPS location information that you got off Samantha's phone?
No, ma'am. The iPhone that came from the defendant at the scene, I was not able to get into, so I was not able to obtain all the GPS information.
Why is that?
It's because it still contained the passcode, and I was not able to bypass the passcode and get a full extraction.
Okay. And what about the other phone?
It was item 4. I was able to get into to bypass the passcode and obtain information on that.
And what were you able to get off of that phone as far as location information?
On location information, I was able to obtain some location information, not a tremendous amount because it was an Android-based system. It didn't have locations pool like they did for the Apple, so it was very limited in locations.
And I want to go back to, and I want to make sure we're talking about the same phone. I'm going to hand you a stack of records, and trust me, you're not going to go over there. I want to show you what's been marked for ID as State's Exhibit 334. And ask if you recognize those.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what are those records?
These records are from the timeline that is produced in my report when I did the extraction for item 4,
Which is which phone again?
which is the Alcatel phone.
And is that report one that's kept in the normal course of your business as the records from the phone?
Yes, ma'am. It's produced, once we do the extraction, we produce this record, and then we'll review this record a lot of times when we're looking through the phone to give us indications for time and dates and activities.
At this time, you're not asking for your State's Exhibit number 334 into evidence.
You're not object on hearsay grounds and our previous objection. Same response from the state ground.
What, pardon?
Same response from the state. This is a business record exception.
What was the previous response?
This is a business record exception that's kept in the normal course of their business. He testified to that, Your Honor.
It's submitted over objection.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask you a little bit about how you generate these records. All right, so when you get the report, is it like this, a whole big stack, or how do you get it?
When we usually generate a report, because as you can see with that volume of paper for just the timeline, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll generate as an HTML report, which makes it easy because it's all linked together on a disk so that an investigator can click on it to go to different sections they want and be able to look through it a lot easier without having thousands of pages to try to go back and forth and thumb through.
And I'm going to ask you a little bit I'm going a little bit back and forth. This Alcatel phone, how do you know that a phone is on and working, or if you're just looking at the reports?
If I'm looking at the report, there are things I'm looking for. If a phone's on when we get it and receive it and we go to process it, a lot of times the last things we can look at on there may show the time and date at which we start our processing on there. Other thing is a lot of times phones, especially Apple's, Alcatel has a few of it with some of their things. It has powering events on there.
For example, what's a powering event?
For example, if you go to cut your phone on or off, that's a powering event. With a phone, if you pick up a smartphone and it's off and the screen's dark and you go to pick it up and it lights up, that's considered a powering event. If you turn it sometimes, if you're holding it straight up and you turn your hand over and it rotates over so that it goes and moves, that's considered a powering event. Some phones and some systems will record more of those than others. Some will not record all of that. You can also look in the databases too and see activity that's occurring at different times. It may not be pulled out in a report all the time.
And was this phone, the Alcatel that you took, was it working?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
And how do you know that?
When I go to do the examination on this phone, I took photos of the phone when it was hooked up, which show that it's on with a passcode on there, so that I knew it was on and working at that point. Also, too, I was able to go into some of the databases that the report produced and look at them. One of them is a Power Up Reason text file that's in there, and it shows that at 3:20 on March 29th, 2019, there was a reboot of the phone. It also shows that at 2:58 a.m. on the 29th of 2019, that a keypad activity was initiated.
What's a keypad activity?
It could have been anything. It could have been somebody's finger hit it. It does not necessarily mean that somebody's punching numbers in, but somebody hit the keypad for some reason, or something hit the keypad.
And what time was that at?
That was at 2:58:30 a.m. on March 29th, 2019.
All right. And I believe you stated this, but was this phone locked or unlocked?
It was locked when I received it.
And so what does that mean? In order to access the phone, what do you need?
We had to bypass the lock code or either have the lock code and unlock it.
And so if that phone was sitting here, would I be able to use it and just pick it up and start using it?
No, ma'am.
What would I need?
You would need the passcode to get into it.
Any other way to get that phone to work without that passcode?
No, ma'am. Not that I'm aware of.
And how long does the phone have to, does the passcode phone automatically lock, or is there a function that it only locks after so many minutes?
I found in there in the settings security XML file of the phone that the lock screen locked after timeout, that it locked after 30 minutes.
So what does that mean in layman's terms?
That after it times out, in which I found the timeout to be 1 minute for the phone, for the screen, that once it goes off, that after that 30 minutes after that, that phone locks automatically whether you interact with it or not.
So is it fair to say that if the phone sat still for 30 minutes, minute 31, you couldn't use the phone without the passcode?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to show you one particular record from those records. Now, before I go into it, did you provide any of this information that you downloaded from this phone to anyone?
Yes, ma'am. It was provided to investigators and then a discovery copy was made.
It was given to other people at SLED?
Yes, ma'am.
And let me ask you this. With the phone, were you able to get any information in order to do cell towers off the Alcatel or the other phone that's associated with Mr. Rowland?
No, ma'am. I don't do cell towers, cell records.
Who does that?
At the time, I believe it was Special Agent Eric Grabsky.
So can you see this, or do you need to step down?
It'd be easier if I could step down so I can see.
And is this the same extraction report as a page from the report that we just put into evidence?
Yes, ma'am. It's from item 4. It's a Celebrite report.
And is this,
timeline.
I'm sorry, from the Alcatel phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so what does this mean here, what that's highlighted?
This is from the timeline report. It's showing that there was a web search, or the web was pulled up on 3/29/2019 at 4:36:05 a.m. You can see on this one, it did it UTC -4 instead of GMT -4. So it's still set from 0 to our time zone.
And what was pulled up?
And the description says trending porn videos of the day, mobile HD porn videos, spank bang.
And why is this significant for you?
Because at this time, at 4:36 a.m., the only way somebody would have been able to pull that up and to access that would have had to either know the passcode to be able to unlock the phone to get to that Chrome search, or not search, but the Chrome tab to be able to open.
Thank you. You can take your seat. And just to be clear, that you just read from, that's from the phone associated with him.
That's from the phone associated with Mr. Rowland.
further questions?
By the defense.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. So you testified you received 4 phones on the 30th of
Yes,
March,
ma'am.
that's right? And one was an iPhone.
Yes, ma'am.
It was reported to have been taken from Mr. Rowland at the time that he was arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were able to do a partial extraction on that phone.
Yes,
Is
ma'am,
that right?
correct.
And we didn't, I don't think that that was actually admitted into evidence. Is that right?
Correct, I didn't see those
Okay.
reports.
We have an extraction from Maria Howard's phone,
Yes, ma'am.
and that was item 8.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we have an extraction from the Alcatel phone.
Yes, ma'am.
And we went through some records here on for the Alcatel phone.
Yes, ma'am.
And the number associated with that one is the 862 number.
I would have to see the record again. I don't remember right offhand.
I don't know how to mess with that. So I'm going to grab what states 334 and see if you are.
That would be, not that, that would be the Alcatel phone. I believe when you were asking about was item 8 of Miss Howard's phone.
I'm talking about the Alcatel phone.
Okay,
Did
that would be those.
I may not be able to tell from just this timeline. Whatever. I'm taking it apart here for a second. Thank you. Apologize, Your Honor.
All right. Questions of the witness?
Yes, Your Honor, I apologize. I'm looking for something specific here. I will, this is an extensive timeline here. I apologize. You're familiar, I asked you about the iPhone that was taken from Mr. Rowland on March 30th.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were able to do a partial extraction of that phone.
Yes, ma'am.
And the number associated with that phone begins with 566, is that right?
I'm not sure offhand. Let's see if I can refer to my report. Let's see. Yes, ma'am. It looks like it begins with 566.
803, 556?
It's actually 803 566 3692.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This timeline goes back to, starts on February 15th, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. That's stacked up there.
I'm getting to it, I promise. And like you testified, someone just opening the web browser would pull up maybe a tab that was open in the web browser.
Correct.
Not that someone was actually searching out, making an actual search of that website.
Correct. If it was still open and it's just closed out and reopened and it's still there, it would pull back up.
And the last time that website was accessed on this phone prior to that time would be in this report as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And if someone doesn't save the phone number in the phone, there would be no contact name next to that number, right?
Correct.
Beg the court's indulgence.
We've got a few more minutes of this one. I think we're going to be taking a break right around 11:30 Eastern time. Have a short lunch, I think 45 minutes, and then come back with the afternoon. Finish off with what we've got. One more witness from day 3 and start day 4, I think. Yeah, one more. We've got 2 hours from day 3, and then we'll probably start day 4.
I apologize, Your Honor.
4 hours, so.
Okay.
Apologizing.
While I'm waiting on that, we'll come back to that. I will ask you, so you were, as far as the iPhone is concerned, that was taken from Mr. Rowland on the night of the 30th.
Yes, ma'am.
That was a partial extraction done, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the GPS information that was obtained from that, there was none. Is that what you're saying?
On that one, I believe it was maybe 3 locations that came from that one. Because it was a partial extraction, I couldn't get the full file system, so I was not able to get all the information.
Okay. And the Alcatel, you said it's kind of the same thing. There's some location information, but not a lot.
Yes, ma'am. It grabs some location information from that. It's a different operating system, so it operates and acts differently.
And the Alcatel you said was Android?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And if a phone is connected to Wi-Fi, a wireless internet connection, it would show up on that timeline.
It would show the Wi-Fi connection, possibly.
Right. It would show that it had been connected to Wi-Fi at a certain point, and maybe when it connected or disconnected.
A lot of times it can show that. It can also show the first connection and the last connection to it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was connected to that Wi-Fi the whole time. It could have been different times because that connection was auto-saved in there with their password.
Okay. I found what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate your patience. All right. Okay, here we are. I want to show you, again, State's Exhibit 334. This is page 287, and if you could please start here at this item number, if you can tell the jury, right here.
I wasn't sure which item we were pointing to, if it was 63102 or 63103. This one? Okay.
Both of them.
All right. At 63102, it shows that it's an incoming call on 3/15/2019 at 12:15:31 a.m. It's coming from 1-803-566-3692, and it looks like it's a duration of about 23 seconds. Would you like me to do the next one too?
Yes, please.
The next one is 63103 is the column number. It's also an incoming call at 3/15/2019 at 12:22:35 a.m. It's coming from 1-803-566-3692, and it looks like the duration is 1 minute and 41 seconds.
And again, the phone number associated with item 1, which is the iPhone taken from Mr. Rowland on March 30th, is that 803-566 number that you just talked about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so Mr. Rowland's iPhone is calling Mr. Rowland's Alcatel phone on March 15th?
Yes, ma'am, according to these records.
And do you see where that number shows up again on that day?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Are those phone calls, text messages?
It's a phone call on 3/15/2019 at 2:10:53 a.m. It lasts 35 seconds.
So a phone call from the 803-566-3692 number, the iPhone number, calling the Alcatel number on 3/15/2019.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have one more question for you. The item 8, the phone that you processed that belonged to Maria Howard.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you testified you weren't able to get all of the information from her phone.
Correct.
So you don't have location information for her phone?
No, ma'am, I don't believe I do. I have to check the report and see. No, ma'am, I wasn't able to get a full picture of that information.
And again, the date that Nate Rowland's iPhone is calling Nate Rowland's Alcatel phone is March 15th, 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
And this incident date was March 29th, 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
So about 2 weeks before?
Yes, ma'am, roughly 14 days.
Beg the court's indulgence. That's all I have. Thank you.
And redirect.
Beg the court's indulgence. Just a couple of questions. You've been downloading phones for how many years?
I started in June of 2008.
And have you
All
ever,
my life.
in all that time is doing these cell phones, have you heard of somebody having more than one phone?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you seen them call their own phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Several reasons to call your own phone?
Yes, ma'am, could be various reasons.
Could you call it when it's lost?
Yes, ma'am.
How about to check your messages?
Yes, ma'am.
And that could happen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions, John.
Anything further?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly. You testified that that one of the calls was around 1.5 minutes or so?
It was, I believe, 1 minute 41, possibly. Yes, ma'am.
And somebody would talk to themselves for 1 minute and 41 seconds?
I can't answer that because I have no idea if they listened to something or they talked to something.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down.
All right, we're gonna break for lunch right here. We're gonna take a 45-minute lunch break, a little bit shorter than normal.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the day. Thank you very much. I'll meet you back at 9:30. Please do not be exposed to any information concerning the case outside of the courtroom, and do not discuss the case with anyone or allow anyone to discuss it with you in your presence. And we'll see you at 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Or we'll see all of you guys in just a little bit, because we're actually picking up with tomorrow morning's stream right after lunch. So let's just make sure nothing's happening here in court. Just a moment here. Wait for it. Wait for it. Do you guys want to raid somewhere for lunch? You have to promise to come back after the raid, after 45 minutes. Let's see who's up. Let's see. I think Brandy's up right now watching the trial. It's always fun to raid Brandy.
They are aware of it. They will endeavor to not block your view.
Okay, we're gonna stop that.
Call your next witness.
We're gonna stop.
Your Honor, they call.
That's after lunch. That's after lunch. You get to see what he wears there. We're gonna pause that right there. Pause. Okay. Let's see. Till Big Little RA, we said hi. We'll do that. He arrived safely yesterday. It was great. The kids are having a blast. I think Brandy's the only one I'm really seeing that we can raid here. So we'll go ahead and save her as the raid location. She's on the victim impact statements, but on the sentencing phase of the Bryce trial or whatever. I have not followed that one at all. So we'll set that up and have have you all go over there for lunch. We're going to be back in 45 minutes. So right now it is about 11:30. So at 1:15, right? Or 12:15, sorry. 12:15 we'll be back after lunch. And we're going to pick up with the rest of this. Okay, let's see. So over to Brandy for 45, yeah. And make sure when you land, please click the like button. A lot of people forget to do that when they land. They get there and it's so much fun. They start seeing their friends, start waving and saying hi, but they forget to click the like button. Do click the like button. It really does. It has a big impact on the stream for YouTube, for the streamer. And so that would help Brandy out a ton, more than you know, because it raises her live stream on the feed. When other people are looking for what to watch, it suggests it much higher than other things if you click the like button. So we'll do that. All right. With that, we're going to get ready and go to lunch. I've got to make some lunch for Mrs. R.A. because she's not feeling well. I'm thinking some sort of soup. Soup might be good, but we'll see. Maybe she wants a burger. Whatever it is. When she's sick, she gets to choose. So. It's going to work. All right. Let's see. Chicken noodle soup. That's an option. Although she doesn't like canned chicken noodle soup. She likes making it herself. And so I'd have to have started like yesterday to make that soup. Maybe I can find a good store that sells a good one. But anyway, we'll get her fed and get her wrapped up in a blanket and all happy. And then we'll come back and watch the rest of this afternoon. Tonight, when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone, make that day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again in about 45 minutes. As always, first person in chat wins the internet. If you'd like that to be you, click the subscribe button, ring the bell, and then as soon as you see that notification that we've gone live, just be the first person to type in chat. And whatever it is you type, whether it's an emoji or a letter or a full sentence or your autobiography, whatever it is, you could win the internet. Although the autobiography puts you at a distinct disadvantage because it generally takes longer to type that. So, all right, we are going on an adventure. We're going to Brandy's channel. Off to Brandy just for lunch. Make sure you say hi. She's doing a great job, and we love her. So be nice when you're over there, as always. And then we'll see you back here in about 45 minutes for the second part of the day. All right, I'm going to fade the music out, and we're going to kill it so we can go to lunch because Mrs. R.A. is hungry. So, no, we're at the end anyway, so we're good. All right, see you guys. Be nice. Bye.
Because he's the guy.